Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start with a question that may resonate deeply with some of you. Have you ever felt like the ground beneath you was shaking, and the next step ahead was wrapped in complete darkness? Let me share a story. There was a man who stood at the edge of a cliff, staring into the abyss below. He had two choices: stay where it felt safe, or take a leap of faith and trust that he'd find a solid landing. That man is not just me, it's every one of us when we face life's uncertainties. But here's the truth: playing it safe never leads to transformation. The greatest breakthroughs in life come when you step beyond the comfort zone into the unknown, guided only by faith. Faith is not just a belief, it's action in the absence of guarantees. It's daring to trust when there's no evidence that things will work out. Let me tell you something: each of us has an untapped reservoir of courage that only faith can unlock. Maybe right now you're battling doubt. You might think, what if I fall? But here's a better question: what if you fly? I'm here to remind you of this: you are stronger than your fears. Faith is your greatest ollie, and the only limits are the ones you accept. Before we part ways today, I promise to equip you with tools to conquer fear and take bold steps toward the extraordinary life waiting for you. If you're ready to challenge your limits and step into your purpose, stay with me, because the next few moments could ignite a spark in you that changes everything. Let's take that first step together, shall we? A powerful and personal story is one of the most effective ways to captivate an audience and draw them into the heart of your message. Stories transcend barriers of background, age, or belief. They resonate because they evoke emotion, making them unforgettable. To open a speech with an engaging story isn't just about catching attention, it's about building a connection, a bridge between the speaker and the listener. It sets the tone and invites the audience to embark on a journey of discovery together. Imagine beginning with a vivid, detailed account of a moment when you were on the brink of a life-altering decision. Perhaps you were standing at a metaphorical or literal crossroad, unsure of which path to take. Paint the picture for the audience: the uncertainty, the fear, the sense of being completely overwhelmed. Describe the scene in a way that allows them to step into your shoes: what you saw, what you felt, and what thoughts raced through your mind. Maybe it was a moment of desperation, or perhaps it was one where you felt an inexplicable urge to leap forward despite the risks. By making the story relatable, the audience starts to see fragments of their own lives in yours, fostering an immediate emotional bond. As you recount the moment, slowly weave in the theme of faith. Explain how you wrestled with doubt, fear, and the voices both internal and external that told you it was impossible. The key is vulnerability. People are drawn to authenticity, and your willingness to share your struggles and fears will inspire trust and empathy. Let them hear the hesitation in your voice, the questions in your heart, but also let them feel the resolve that grew as you chose to step out in faith, even when the outcome was uncertain. For example, you might share a pivotal event from your life, a time when everything seemed stacked against you, yet you felt compelled to take a bold step forward. Perhaps it was launching a new venture, leaving a secure job to pursue your passion, or even standing up for what you believed in when others doubted you. Frame it as a leap into the unknown, one that required courage you weren't sure you had. Highlight the tension of the moment, the voices of doubt, and the risk involved. Then describe the transformation that occurred when you trusted not only in yourself, but in something greater: a purpose, a calling, or a guiding force. Stories like these serve a dual purpose. First, they inspire hope by showing that challenges can be overcome. Second, they plant a seed of curiosity, prompting the audience to wonder what will happen next. As they listen, they'll find themselves yearning to know how the story unfolds and what lessons they can draw from it. That curiosity keeps them engaged, leaning in, eager for the next words. To make the opening story even more impactful, consider using sensory details. Don't just tell them what happened, show them. Describe the pounding of your heart, the sweat on your palms, the way the air felt thick with tension. Let them feel the weight of the moment as if they were living it with you. And as you move toward the climax of the story, the moment you stepped out in faith, pause. Allow the weight of that moment to sink in. Let the audience feel the enormity of the decision, the uncertainty that surrounded it, and the courage it required. As you bring the story to a close, tie it seamlessly into the theme of speech. Explain how that single act of faith not only changed your circumstances, but also transformed you as a person. Perhaps it taught you the importance of trust, resilience, or surrendering control. Whatever the lesson, share it with conviction, but also with humility, acknowledging that the journey of stepping out in faith is ongoing. End the opening by posing a question or challenge to the audience. For instance, you could ask, what about you? Is there a step you've been hesitant to take, a decision you've been avoiding because of fear? This not only shifts the focus to them, but also plants the idea that their own breakthrough might be closer than they think. It encourages introspection and sets the stage for the rest of the speech, where they'll learn how to harness their faith to take that leap. A personal story isn't just an introduction, it's an invitation. It says to the audience, come with me. Let me show you what's possible when you dare to step into the unknown. It's this connection, this shared experience of vulnerability and triumph that lays the foundation for a truly impactful message. Faith has the extraordinary power to reshape lives, overcome fears, and unlock potential we never knew we had. It is not just a fleeting feeling or an abstract concept. Faith is a force of powerful energy that drives us forward when logic and reason tell us to stay put. When we speak about the power of faith, we are addressing a fundamental human truth. The capacity to believe in something greater than ourselves, greater than our present circumstances, and greater than the obstacles that seem insurmountable. Imagine being at a point in your life where you feel completely stuck. The challenges seem too big and the resources seem too few. Perhaps you've tried everything and nothing has worked. It's in these moments of despair that faith becomes more than just an option, it becomes a necessity. Faith doesn't eliminate fear, but it gives you the courage to face it. It doesn't erase uncertainty, but it provides a sense of assurance that something better lies ahead. Faith in its purest form is the bridge between where you are and where you're meant to be. One of the most profound aspects of faith is its ability to create strength from within. When we have faith, whether in ourselves, in a higher power, or in the purpose of our journey, it becomes a wellspring of inner resilience. It helps us tap in reserves of strength and courage that we didn't realize were there. This inner power doesn't come from circumstances aligning perfectly or from having all the answers. It comes from the decision to trust even when the path ahead is unclear. Faith also has a transformative quality, changes how we view the world and our place in it. Without faith, challenges can feel overwhelming and failures can feel like the end of the road. But with faith, those same challenges become opportunities for growth and failures become stepping stones to success. Faith doesn't deny the existence of difficulties. Instead, it redefines them. It allows us to see the bigger picture, to trust that every experience, good or bad, is a part of a greater plan. Another remarkable power of faith is its ability to guide us. There's something about stepping out in faith that clarifies our vision and sharpens our focus. It's as if the very act of trusting creates a pathway where none existed before. When we take a leap of faith, we're not just hoping for a favorable outcome. We're actively participating in creating it. Faith motivates us to take action, to move forward even when we can't see the entire staircase. It's not passive, it's dynamic, alive, and full of potential. Faith also inspires others. When people see someone stepping out boldly, trusting against all odds, it creates a ripple effect. It encourages others to reflect on their own lives and consider where they might be holding back. Faith is contagious. When someone sees you walking confidently into the unknown, they are reminded of their own capacity to do the same. This is why acts of faith often lead to collective transformation. They inspire not just the individual, but also the community around them. One of the most beautiful aspects of faith is its accessibility. You don't have to be perfect to have faith. You don't need to have everything figured out or possess extraordinary abilities. Faith meets you where you are, whether you're at the peak of your strength or the depths of your weakness. It doesn't require proof. It only requires a willingness to believe. And that belief, no matter how small, has the power to move mountains. For many, faith is rooted in a spiritual belief or a connection to a higher power. For others, it's grounded in self-confidence or trust in the process of life. Regardless of its source, faith gives us the ability to dream bigger, reach higher, and persevere longer. It is the antidote to doubt and the remedy for fear. When life feels uncertain, the path ahead is unclear, faith whispers, keep going. Something extraordinary is waiting. Faith doesn't guarantee that the journey will be easy, but it does promise that it will be worth it. It doesn't prevent challenges, but it provides the strength to face them head on. Faith teaches us that there is purpose in the process, even when the process is painful. It reminds us that growth often comes from discomfort and breakthroughs often come after breakdowns. In a world that often values certainty and control, faith calls us to embrace the unknown. It asks us to trust not in what we can see, but in what we can imagine. It reminds us that the greatest adventures in life begin with a step of faith. And when we take that step, we discover a power within ourselves that we never knew existed. Faith doesn't just change circumstances, it changes us. It makes us braver, stronger, and more aligned with the purpose we were created for. Fear and doubt are two of the most persistent barriers we face when considering stepping out in faith. They creep into our minds, whispering all the reasons why we shouldn't take that leap, why we might fail, and why the risk isn't worth it. These emotions can paralyze us, keeping us stuck in a place that feels safe but is ultimately limiting. However, when we confront fear and doubt head-on, we begin to realize that they are not as powerful as they seem. They are simply illusions that lose their grip the moment we choose to trust in something greater. Fear often masquerades as protection. It tells us to avoid discomfort, to stay where we are because the unknown is too risky. But what fear doesn't reveal is the cost of staying still. When we allow fear to dictate our actions, we rob ourselves of growth, discovery, and the joy that comes from stepping into the fullness of our potential. The truth is, fear is not an enemy to be avoided, but a signal to be understood. It often shows up when we're on the verge of something significant, something life-changing. Doubt, on the other hand, thrives on uncertainty, questions our abilities, our decisions, and even our worth. It whispers, what if you're not good enough? What if you fail? These doubts can feel overwhelming, especially when we're venturing into unfamiliar territory. But doubt, like fear, is not inherently bad. It's a natural part of being human. The key is not to let doubt have the final say. Instead, we must learn to move forward despite it. Confronting fear and doubt begins with acknowledgement. Pretending they don't exist or trying to suppress them only gives them more power. Instead, we need to face them with honesty and curiosity. Ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? What is the worst that could happen? Often you'll find that the worst case scenario isn't as devastating as it feels in the moment. More importantly, you'll realize that you have the strength to handle whatever comes your way. Another way to combat fear and doubt is by focusing on the bigger picture. When you're consumed by uncertainty, it's easy to lose sight of your purpose or the reason you felt compelled to take a step of faith in the first place. Take a moment to reconnect with your why. What is it that you hope to achieve or experience? What is the vision that fuels your desire to move forward? When your purpose becomes clear, it serves as a powerful counterbalance to fear and doubt, reminding you that the risk is worth it. Action is also a powerful antidote to fear and doubt. The longer we hesitate, the more these emotions grow. But when we take even the smallest step forward, we begin to build momentum. Each action, no matter how small, sends a message to ourselves that we are capable, that we are moving closer to our goals. Over time, these small steps add up, creating a sense of confidence and resilience that fear and doubt cannot easily shake. It's important to remember that fear and doubt often amplify the unknown, making challenges appear larger than they are. But once you step into the situation, you'll often find that the reality is far less daunting than you imagined. The act of confronting your fears diminishes their power. It's like walking into a dark room. The moment you turn on the light, the shadows disappear. Another critical element in overcoming fear and doubt is surrounding yourself with support. Having people who believe in you, who encourage you, and who remind you of your strengths can make all the difference. Their faith in you can serve as a beacon when your own faith feels shaky. Leaning on a trusted community or mentor is not a sign of weakness, it's a recognition that we are stronger together. Finally, confronting fear and doubt requires a mindset shift. Instead of viewing these emotions as barriers, see them as opportunities. Fear and doubt challenge us to grow, to strengthen our faith, and to prove to ourselves that we are capable of more than we realize. They push us to dig deeper, to rely on our inner strength, and to trust in the process even when the outcome is uncertain. In the end, fear and doubt are part of the journey. They don't disappear in how much experience or success you gain, but what changes is your relationship with them. As you continue to step out in faith, build a track record of courage and resilience. Each time you face your fears and move forward anyway, you teach yourself that you are capable, that you are stronger than you think, and that faith can carry you through even the most uncertain times. The question isn't whether fear and doubt will show up, they will. The real question is how you will respond. Will you let them keep you in the safety of the familiar? Or will you confront them and move toward the extraordinary possibilities that await? The choice is yours, and with faith, you have everything you need to make the leap. Real life examples of individuals who stepped out in faith and experienced life-changing results have the power to inspire us deeply. These stories remind us that ordinary people, when guided by faith, can achieve extraordinary things. They illuminate the truth that faith is not reserved for the extraordinary. It's for all of us, no matter where we come from, what we face, or how big the challenge ahead may seem. These examples show us that taking a leap of faith is not about guaranteed success, but about having the courage to act despite uncertainty, trusting that something greater awaits on the other side. One such story might be of a young woman who dreamed of starting her own business. She had a vision of creating something that would serve others, but the odds were stacked against her. She didn't have the financial resources, the experience, or the network she thought she needed. Doubts filled her mind, whispering that she wasn't ready and that failure was inevitable. Yet deep inside, she felt a pull, a calling to step out in faith and trust that the path would reveal itself as she walked it. With trembling hands and a heart full of both fear and hope, she took the first step. She reached out to mentors, started small with what she had, and leaned on her faith to guide her through every obstacle. The journey wasn't easy. There were moments of failure, setbacks that made her question everything, and days when quitting felt like the only option. But she persisted, holding on to the belief that her vision had purpose. Over time, her faith was rewarded. The business grew, impacting not only her life, but the lives of countless others. What began as a fragile hope became a thriving reality because she dared to step out in faith. Another example might involve a man who felt a stirring in his heart to leave a comfortable corporate job and dedicate his life to helping those in need. His job provided security, a steady income, and the kind of predictability many of us long for. Yet he couldn't shake the feeling that he was meant for something more. The idea of leaving everything familiar terrified him. What if he failed? What if he couldn't provide for his family? These questions loomed large, but the sense of purpose burning within him was even greater. After months of prayer, reflection, and wrestling with his fears, he made the decision to leave his job and start a nonprofit organization. The early days were filled with challenges, limited funding, long hours, and countless moments of doubt. But as he continued to step forward in faith, doors began to open. Resources appeared seemingly out of nowhere, rallied around his vision, and lives were transformed through his work. What had once felt like an impossible dream became a testament to the power of faith to turn passion into purpose. Even on a smaller scale, everyday examples abound of individuals stepping out in faith. Consider the single mother who, despite her struggles, chooses to pursue an education so she can provide a better future for her children. She faces immense challenges juggling work, parenting, and studying, but her faith drives her forward. She believes in a future where her hard work will pay off even when the road is long and uncertain. Years later, she earns her degree, lands a job that changes her family's trajectory, and becomes an inspiration to her children and community. Or think about the person who, after years of hiding their true self, decides to step into authenticity, even if it means risking rejection. They choose to embrace who they are, trusting that their worth is not defined by others' opinions. In doing so, they find freedom, deeper relationships, and a sense of peace they had never known. Their act of faith, choosing vulnerability over fear, becomes a turning point that changes their life forever. These stories remind us that stepping out in faith doesn't always mean a grand, dramatic gesture. Sometimes it's the quiet, daily decision to keep going, to trust the process, and to believe that something better is possible. It's the single step that leads to the next and the next until a journey of transformation unfolds. What ties all these examples together is not the absence of fear or doubt, but the willingness to act despite them. When we hear these stories, they do more than inspire us, they challenge us. They prompt us to reflect on our own lives and ask, where am I holding back? What leap of faith is waiting for me? These examples show us that faith is not a guarantee of an easy path, but it is a promise of growth, purpose, and the possibility of something greater than we can imagine. Stepping out in faith is not reserved for the fearless or the extraordinary. It's for anyone willing to trust and take a step forward. Each story of faith reminds us that the greatest rewards often lie on the other side of risk, and the most profound transformations begin with a single act of courage. Through these examples, we see that faith is not just about achieving success, but about becoming the person we were meant to be. It's about living with purpose, embracing challenges, and daring to believe in what's possible even when the path ahead is unclear. When we talk about stepping out in faith, one of the most essential aspects is recognizing and trusting in a greater purpose. Faith is not simply about blind leaps into the unknown. It's about believing that our lives have meaning and that the challenges and uncertainties we face are not random, but part of a larger intentional plan. Trusting in purpose is what gives us the strength to take bold steps even when we don't have all the answers. It allows us to move forward with confidence, knowing that there is something greater at work guiding us toward our destiny. Purpose is what transforms the seemingly mundane moments of life into meaningful stepping stones. It is what allows us to endure hardship, navigate setbacks, and persevere when the path ahead feels impossible. When we trust in a greater purpose, we begin to see our struggles not as pointless obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and preparation for what's to come. This perspective shift is powerful. It reframes our pain and challenges, giving them context and significance. Consider the metaphor of a seed. When a seed is planted in the soil, it is buried in darkness. From the outside, it may seem as though nothing is happening, that the seed is simply lying there forgotten. But in reality, an extraordinary process is taking place. The seed is germinating, pushing through the soil, and preparing to grow into something beautiful and life-giving. This is what purpose does for us. Even in our darkest moments, even when we feel buried by fear, doubt, or failure, there is something happening beneath the surface. Faith allows us to trust in this process, knowing that every struggle is shaping us, strengthening us, and preparing us for what lies ahead. Trusting in purpose also means embracing the idea that our lives are interconnected. The steps we take in faith often have a ripple effect, touching the lives of others in ways we may never fully understand. When we step out in faith, we are not just pursuing our own dreams or goals, we are participating in a larger story. Each act of courage, each decision to trust, contributes to a greater tapestry that is far more intricate and beautiful than we could ever imagine. This interconnectedness reminds us that our actions matter not just for ourselves, but for those around us. One of the most challenging aspects of trusting in purpose is surrendering control. As humans, we have an innate desire to plan, predict, and control our lives. We want to know the outcome before we take the first step. But faith calls us to let go of this need for certainty and to trust in the journey even when the destination is unclear. This surrender is not about giving up, it's about releasing our grip on what we think should happen and opening ourselves to what could happen. It's about trusting that the greater purpose guiding us knows better than we do, and that even detours and delays are part of the plan. There's also an incredible freedom that comes from trusting in purpose. When we let go of the need to have all the answers, we free ourselves from the pressure of perfection. We don't have to have it all figured out to take the next step. Faith reminds us that it's okay to move forward with incomplete information, trusting that clarity will come as we go. This freedom allows us to take risks, to try new things, and to step into opportunities that we might otherwise shy away from. Trusting in purpose is not about ignoring challenges or pretending that everything will always work out perfectly. It's about acknowledging that life is filled with both joy and pain, triumph and trial, and believing that every experience serves a purpose. It's about trusting that even in our moments of greatest doubt or failure, we are being shaped into the person we are meant to be. This trust doesn't eliminate fear, but it gives us the courage to face it. It doesn't remove uncertainty, but it provides a foundation of hope that keeps us moving forward. Purpose also gives us a sense of identity. When we trust in a greater purpose, we begin to see ourselves not as victims of circumstance, but as active participants in a meaningful journey. We realize that our lives have value and that our unique gifts, experiences, and perspectives are part of what makes the world richer. This sense of identity fuels our faith, reminding us that we are capable of achieving things we never thought possible. Ultimately, trusting in purpose is an act of faith in itself. It's believing that every step we take, no matter how small or uncertain, is leading us closer to the person we were created to be. It's trusting that the pieces of our lives, even the messy and painful ones, are being woven together into something beautiful. And it's knowing that no matter how difficult the journey may be, there is a reason for it all. When we embrace this mindset, we begin to see every moment, every triumph, every setback, every leap of faith as part of a purposeful plan. This trust gives us the strength to keep moving forward, the courage to take risks, and the resilience to persevere through challenges. It reminds us that we are never alone and that our lives are part of something far greater than we can comprehend. With this trust and purpose, we find the faith to step boldly into the unknown, knowing that we are exactly where we're meant to be. Faith is an invitation to growth. It calls us out of our comfort zones, challenges our limits, and stretches us in ways we never thought possible. When we take a step of faith, we are not only moving toward a goal or dream, but also allowing ourselves to be transformed in the process. Faith is not just about what we achieve, it's about who we become along the journey. It shapes our character, strengthens our resilience, and deepens our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Growth often begins in the uncomfortable spaces. These are the places where we feel uncertain, where we are confronted with challenges that seem beyond our abilities. But these very challenges are what prepare us for the next level of our journey. Just as muscles grow stronger through resistance, our character is strengthened when we face difficulties head on. Faith is the driving force that pushes us to embrace these moments instead of retreating from them. It reminds us that discomfort is not a sign of failure, but a sign of progress. Stepping out in faith often reveals strengths and abilities we didn't know we had. It's in the process of navigating uncertainty that we discover resilience, creativity, and problem-solving skills. For instance, someone who hesitates to pursue a new career because of fear of failure might find after taking that leap that they have a natural talent for leadership or adaptability. Faith helps us uncover the untapped potential within us, showing us that we are capable of far more than we believe. This process of growth isn't always easy. It often involves failure, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But faith teaches us to see these experiences not as reasons to give up, but as opportunities to learn and grow. Every misstep becomes a lesson, every detour a chance to gain new perspective. The journey of faith is one of refinement, where we are shaped and molded by the challenges we face. Over time, we begin to see that these struggles are not wasted, they are integral to our development. Faith also helps us grow by shifting our mindset and encourages us to focus on possibilities rather than limitations, on solutions rather than obstacles. When we step out in faith, we start to see the world not as a place of scarcity, but as a place of abundance. This shift in perspective empowers us to dream bigger, take risks, and approach challenges with a sense of hope and determination. It opens our eyes to opportunities we might have otherwise overlooked. Another way faith fosters growth is by teaching us to rely on others. When we step out in faith, we often realize that we cannot do it all on our own. We need the support, encouragement, and wisdom of others to help us along the way. This realization fosters humility and strengthens our relationships. It teaches us the value of community and reminds us that we are not alone in our journey. Faith connects us to others, allowing us to grow not just individually, but collectively. Faith also calls us to let go of perfectionism. Growth requires mistakes. It requires trying, failing, and trying again. Faith reminds us that it's okay to not have it all figured out, that progress is more important than perfection. It gives us the courage to take imperfect action, trusting that each step forward brings us closer to our goals. This willingness to embrace imperfection is a critical part of growth, as it allows us to experiment, learn, and evolve. Perhaps most importantly, faith helps us grow by aligning us with our purpose. When we act in faith, we are often pursuing something that feels deeply meaningful, whether it's a personal goal, a calling, or a desire to make a difference. This alignment with purpose provides motivation and clarity, guiding our decisions and actions. It helps us prioritize what truly matters, letting go of distractions and focusing on what will bring the greatest growth and fulfillment. Faith also strengthens our inner resilience. As we face and overcome challenges, we develop a deeper sense of trust in ourselves and our ability to navigate future uncertainties. This resilience is not just about surviving difficulties, but thriving because of them. It's about learning to see challenges as opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. With each step of faith we take, we build a foundation of confidence that prepares us for whatever lies ahead. In the process of stepping out in faith, we often find that growth happens in unexpected ways. We may start with a specific goal in mind, only to discover that the journey leads us somewhere entirely different, somewhere even better. Faith teaches us to remain open to these surprises, trusting that the path we are on is unfolding exactly as it should. It reminds us that growth is not always linear. It's a dynamic, evolving process that requires patience and adaptability. Ultimately, faith invites us to become the best version of ourselves. It pushes us to confront our fears, challenge our assumptions, and expand our horizons. It reminds us that growth is not just about reaching a destination, but about becoming more compassionate, courageous, and purpose-driven along the way. Through faith, we learn to embrace the journey of growth, trusting that every step, no matter how small or difficult, is leading us toward a richer, fuller, and more meaningful life.